morning. Happy Monday. I hope that everyone's having a good Monday and is surviving the Easter holidays. I know that my kids are off last week and this week, but I know some people have started this week. So if you enjoy them, if you can do. Tonight I'm going to be chatting with a friend of mine called Livia, and trigger warning, there may be or will be mentions or talking about domestic abuse. So just a bit of a trigger warning for that. If you're not comfortable with it or don't want to listen to it, whatever, then this is kind of like your cue. I am raising money still for Papyrus. I have added a little thing on here. Hopefully it should show up. I'm not really sure. Raising money for Papyrus, which is for the prevention of young suicide or suicide in young people. And so if you're able to donate any pennies, then that would be really, really appreciated. Also, thank you, massive thank you to Kilrock, who are the sponsors for April's Mental Health Mondays. And so they've donated to Papyrus and also just helping to raise awareness and such and so forth for mental health. So that works. But let me know how everyone is. Are we enjoying the Easter holidays? Have you got any plans for Easter? Hello.
Hello, is it working?
Yes.
Oh, sorry, I'm in the car. The
Okay.
kids are just driving us nuts, so I'm in the car.
Are you okay?
Yeah, all good. You?
Yeah, living the dream.
Yes, yeah. We keep going.
That's all we
Yeah.
can do. So, can you just introduce yourself and tell everyone who you
Yeah,
are?
so hello, I'm Livia. I'm a mum of two. My daughter is 5, and my little boy is 2, going on 3. And I'm a stay-at-home mum at home, which has its challenges, but yeah, I love it. And yeah, we're talking about domestic abuse, or
Yeah.
about it. Yeah.
Do you want to tell us a little bit, as much as you're comfortable with, about kind of your story?
Yeah. So what was it, about 5? So my little girl is 5, and it sort of started, say, 6 years ago, and we met totally fine. I didn't see anything wrong with it, and then as we went on, you sort of having red flag, not red flags. I see them as red flags now, but they weren't. And I was like, oh, this is a bit of an odd behaviour. I haven't really heard this before. You're not supposed to be acting like this. So I just thought, right, it will pass and it'll be totally fine. Wasn't fine because it ended up being a very horrible, not physical,
Mm-hmm.
but very emotionally and financially abusive. But I didn't really, until you've come out of it, you don't really realise what an impact it had and what was actually going on, because I was very much like, oh, I want to help him and I want to do this and it will pass, and it's just a stage when really it was 3 years of absolute hell looking back on it now.
Yeah.
But
And
yeah,
still going on. You're
yeah.
not free,
So
are you?
normally, or not, I don't know, because other people's sort of stories, but it
Mm.
got all the way to having a non-molestation. So I left, and it was very not hard to leave, but what's the word? So I was like, right, okay, enough's enough. He'd already isolated me from sort of my dad and my mum, so I wasn't really talking to them. My dad said to me, I was on one night, I said, right, I don't want to go home from work. I didn't want to go home. So my dad was like, right, okay, you have to go home because it's your house. So I was
Mm.
like, right, okay, went home. I was walking home and I put my phone in my pocket, and I remember him kicking off or saying, I can't remember what he was saying. And my dad kept messaging me saying, are you okay? You okay? And he got no response. So he knocked at the door. He knocked at the door, and of course we were having a big massive argument, and his
Yeah.
words were, you're not staying here anymore, pack your bag and we're going. And then I stayed at my dad's house, and then he was like, right, we need to find a way of how to get rid of him,
Mhm.
because when you're in sort of I don't know if anyone else can relate, but when you're in an abusive relationship,
Mhm.
leaving is sort of the hardest thing, because you don't know what the you don't know what the repercussions are going to be, or you don't know how it's going to happen. So I said to him, he doesn't live in the area, so I said to him, right, you go home and I'll meet you. I'll come up in the next few days. And the plan was that I wasn't going to come up, and it was just I was going to be it. But I think leaving's one thing, and
Mhm.
some people, I'm hoping that some people, if they're in this same situation, that will stop and it'll just be that's enough. And
Mhm.
my experience was that that wasn't enough, and he kept going and going and going. So we ended up getting a non-molestation order. So that's like the
Yeah.
first order you get. Got a non-molestation order. He kept breaching that.
Yeah.
So we had to go through dealings of breach. And then he got, we went to court. So a long 6-month process. We went to court and he got suspended sentence, and I got a 5-year restraining order. So
Mhm.
when I had my restraining order, I thought, oh my God, it's going to stop. He's not going to breach this, because he could go to prison. At the minute, he's breached twice. So it doesn't stop. Yeah. Well, in my situation, it
Mhm.
hasn't stopped. I'm hoping that one day it will. But yeah, no, it's very hard. Yeah.
So he isolated you from friends, family, that kind of. Did they have any inkling of what was going on?
My mum, and actually my sister, the first time he met
Mhm.
my sister messaged me and said, something's not right
Okay.
here. Something's not right here. And I was like, oh, okay. Well, you're just saying that, blah, blah. I wanted to prove, you wanted to prove everyone wrong. It's a new relationship.
Yeah.
And then mum, my mum saw him and was just, no. So everyone had their worries, but of
Mhm.
course I sort of liked the whole, he didn't live around here, so I'd travel. It was like 5, 6 years ago, so still very
Mhm.
naive. And my dad actually said to me, he sat me, because when I found out I was pregnant, he sat me down and he said, you either carry on with this pregnancy,
Mhm.
and I'm going to cut off from you, and I'm going to not, disown me really,
Yeah.
and I'm not going to speak to you because I know this is wrong. Or
Mhm.
you have yeah, you have an abortion,
Yeah.
and and I'll still be able to support you. And
Mhm.
I was like, well, no, that's it. If you want to walk away, you want to walk away.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think other people might be able to relate as well. Looking back now,
Mhm.
you see when you're out of a relationship like that, you see every red flag going, because you're like, why didn't I think about that? Or
Yeah.
when he was doing that or saying that, why didn't I think, oh, this is a bit weird? But you're in it. So, but yeah.
It's just
So it
normal,
took
isn't
me a
it? Because
while.
you're in it.
Yeah. It took me a while to get back in contact. Well, my mum was very much, as soon as he was off the
Mhm.
scene, she was very much like supporting me again. My dad, we didn't speak for ages. We didn't speak for years and years and years. And then he came back on the scene when my little girl was about 2, 2.5.
Okay.
And then we've never seen eye to eye. So I never think I don't think he can come to terms with the fact of everything that happened. So now we
Okay.
don't have a relationship. No. So my dad doesn't, but my mum is very,
Mhm.
yeah, very supportive.
Okay.
But I don't tell her because I don't know if this is a thing that other people have had. I didn't. There's some things that I've never told them. So I've never told my
Yeah.
mum. I've never told my sister. I've never told, because you're just like, I can't even. I think we've spoken before. I can't even say these things out loud. Some of them out loud. So to speaking to my sister about it, or my family about it, I'm like, well, you don't need to know that stuff.
No.
So yeah, it's very, yeah.
So there's a difference, isn't there, between domestic abuse? It doesn't always necessarily mean violence.
No,
It's
no.
is it manipulation, gaslighting, how they talk to you.
Yeah.
You said financially, so
So
it's everything else, but not the
it
violence.
doesn't. Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes it is violence, and I'm very lucky. Well, not. Yeah, I'm luckier
Mhm.
enough that wasn't the case. I don't know if he'd ever done that to previous people, because I'll come on to it later. Come on to it later. I don't
Mhm.
know. There's a course that you can go on called the Freedom Program, and it's all about all of these different personas of these people.
Mm.
and how they bully you, or how they can be manipulation, or so there's all different topics, and their definition of domestic abuse is just having control. So
Okay.
it's power and control. So if they've got power and control,
Yeah.
then it's seen as domestic abuse. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Because I know that obviously domestic violence, that kind of speaks for itself because it's got the
Yeah.
violence. But when it comes to
Yeah.
domestic abuse, I suppose it's just everything else.
It's
So
just
what the
everything
parent,
else.
they
Yeah.
have control over who you spoke to,
Yes.
finances,
But and it's very hard.
everything.
Yeah. Well, not who I spoke to.
Mm.
Yes. So I didn't really. So I was, of course, while I was working,
Yeah.
and I didn't really speak to any. At work, I'd speak to them, but I remember we went out for we were going to go out as girls. The girls one night, and I lived here, and the girls just lived. One of the girls lived across the road.
Okay.
So I was like, oh, I'll go over and get ready with the
Hmm.
girls. And because he didn't want me to do that, he was like, if you go over and go out, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, or he's going to kick off and do something. So there was always you're not going to do this. And if you try to, I'm going to put things in place to stop you doing it.
Right.
So it's
Okay.
much control of, not of everything, because it's very up and down. It's hard to explain.
Yeah.
1 minute it's fine and you're right. Okay, he's an actually this person's actually quite nice and it's a good day.
Yeah.
Now I see it as right. Okay, we would have a good few days, and then it will dip again, and then it's got up and down constantly.
Did he do like love bombing when he was in
Yes,
his good
yes,
in the good days?
yeah,
Was it constant like praise and love and presence and all of
yeah.
that?
We'll do this. We're gonna go out and do this, or we're gonna. Before I was pregnant, we're
Hmm.
gonna have a baby, or my family want you to come up and do this, and I was, like I said, I was very naive as to I liked the whole travelling to go and see him and all the stuff but then he would then come back down here, and it would just be right. Okay, we're gonna do what I want to do. He wanted
Right.
to do,
Yeah.
or we're gonna sit in, and it was very much the whole sort of work thing was he actually. So I don't know if I said it, but when I was at work, we'd had an argument in the morning. I can't remember what it was about, and he came to my work. So he came to work and tried to say, "Oh, I need to speak to Liv. I need to speak to Liv."
Hmm.
And he'd been emailing me constantly, so every like 2 minutes, another email. And I was at
Okay.
work, and I said, I went to spoke to my manager, and I said, "We're on a bit of a this is how he is."
Mm.
I think, yeah, explained it
Yeah.
all. And the security had to get rid of him. And then on lunch, I had to go around the back,
Yeah.
so I didn't see him, because it's all about power and control. If they've got control and power over you, it's fine because you're doing what they want you to do.
Yeah.
I found that when you take back the control and try and say, right, this is enough is enough, that's when it up a rank and like, all right, okay,
Yeah.
where you're not listening or you're not conforming to what I say,
Hmm.
I'm now going to take it up a level, and it would be, yeah, different thing
Thing.
every time.
And
Yeah.
did he, when you eventually left, did he bombard you then? Did he try and like message, find you?
So he lives about 3.5 hours. He lives about 3 hours away from me, and at the start, I couldn't use my phone.
Hmm.
So I'd have my phone on the side, and it would be ring, ring, ring. So you know when you can't use it because people are
Yeah.
keep
Yeah.
ringing, it would be that, and then it would be when he'd make up fake accounts on different
Hmm.
things to try and speak to me, and that's when I went to the police and I said, right, okay, it's getting to the point where I can't use my phone.
Yeah.
He's making up different accounts to speak to me. What can we do? And that's when we went for a non-molestation,
Okay.
because they could, yeah, as long as you've got evidence, you have to have pretty good evidence, because
Yeah.
some of them don't really listen, but as long as you've got evidence of harassment,
Yeah.
then they can help in, yeah, they can give you a non-mol
So
if it gets to that point.
what is that? Like in layman's terms, what is a
Oh,
non-molestation order?
sorry, I'm talking like people, yeah.
No, no, no. Just in case,
No, no,
I
no, it's fine. So a non-mole is the sort of the first step. So
okay.
if you go to say you're with someone, or you're not with them anymore,
Hmm.
and they're consistently harassing you, calling you, texting you, come into, I didn't have the problem, but some people who don't live very far from the
Mhm.
person, they're coming to the door, they're threatening to do
Okay.
things.
Yeah.
You have to keep it all. And then because of him, not because of
Mhm.
me, because we had an active social services case,
Yeah.
because my mum expressed her concerns about him.
Yeah.
So we had a long social services case. They were able to help with a non-mole, which
Okay.
is you do not contact this person
Mhm.
um, through social media, through messaging, through anything.
Okay. All right.
And then it will stay safe through social. So say you've got children
Yeah.
together, say through social services, a solicitor, or anything, or whatever else
Yeah.
it can say.
Okay.
You can kind of say what you can kind of ask them what it's going to say. So
Right.
they'll probably, if it's the police or the court, they'll say, "What do you want it to say?"
Yeah.
And I just said no contact at all. I don't want any contact,
Yeah.
indirect or direct.
Okay.
So yeah, he can't contact me indirectly or directly,
Yeah.
and that's sort of the first step. And hopefully, if anyone has experience in it, they kind of listen to that.
Mhm.
If they don't listen, and it carries on, you can then apply for a restraining order,
Okay.
which is like the highest level of protection.
Mhm.
But you have and then so that goes to court, and it will say the same sort of things as the non-mole,
Mhm.
but it comes with, I think it's up to like 5 years in prison if they breach it.
Oh, okay.
But he's breached
Mm.
twice, and we're not there yet.
Yeah.
So it needs to be yeah, my opinion every time we every time I have to go through a breach is just like you lose a bit of faith, because you're just
Yeah.
like, the evidence is here, why are you not doing anything? And they'll say, well, blah 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 blah.
Of. I mean,
Yeah,
we obviously we've had a lot of conversations about this,
yeah,
and the amount of hoops that you have to jump through
yeah,
because he has breached is
yeah,
ridiculous, and the amount of time in between as well. You call up and say, right, he has done X, Y, and Z. He's contacted me, or he's contacted so and so.
yeah,
You know, so do it, and then it's okay. Well, how can we prove it's? How do you know it's him? Well, then you're having to
yeah.
provide all of this information to them.
So not the last time, the time before that, what was it? He had sent me a Snapchat message. He still uses Snapchat, so I got a Snapchat message saying it's his name.
Yeah.
I want to speak to you. I've changed. Blah 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 blah. So I screenshotted the messages
Yeah.
while he's typing, saying, "Why are you screenshotting? You're not going to go to the police, are you?" And I'm still
Mhm.
screenshotting. And then I report it to our force, and because he's a different force, it then has to go across.
Yeah.
So that took about 2 weeks, and the outcome was, well, he used a different phone and a different Wi-Fi box.
So can't prove it
We
was him.
can't prove it was him, and I think I was on holiday. I'm literally screaming down the phone in anger to them, saying, "Well, of course he's going to pick another phone and another Wi-Fi box because he knows what he's doing."
Exactly.
I think these sorts of people, I don't know if I'm just speaking in my experience, but these sorts of
Mm.
people know what they're doing before they've done it. So they know how they're going to get out of something before they've even done it. So
It's all about the
it's
control, isn't it? So they're
yeah,
controlling the narrative. They're going
yeah.
to control what's going to happen.
He knows that because I'll always say he'll never win, and he'll never win, but he in a sense he is,
Hmm.
because he's always getting away with it.
Yeah.
And he had, like I said, he had a 12-month suspended sentence. So
Hmm.
I didn't hear anything for the whole 12 months. And I
Yeah.
thought, oh, he's grown up, he's moved on, blah blah blah.
Gotten over
I
it.
Yeah, I think it was about 6 months after that. Bam,
Mhm.
here we go again.
Yeah.
And every time you're having to relive the whole thing.
I know you say we've had the conversations, and then you'll text me or you'll call me and go, you never
Yeah,
guess what's happened,
you
and
never
I'm
get, and you know what's happening.
not again.
If
It's
I
not
message
done
you
again.
going, "Oh my god, you never guess what's
I know
happened,"
exactly what's
it will
happened.
either be yeah, yeah,
So
and it's
what kind of when you're in it, how does it feel? I would imagine it's quite isolating. But
mm,
does it make you feel that you are at fault for these things?
um, yeah. I feel very sorry for him.
Okay.
So I feel very, I know I shouldn't, but I still want to help. So I'm very much like, right, there must be something wrong.
Yeah.
Or why does he keep doing it? But then I think when I have different thoughts. One minute I want nothing to do with it and I'm just like, get on with your life, you're not going to win. And the next thought I have is there must be something seriously going on or seriously wrong mentally, not wrong mentally, but he must be seriously struggling mentally
Yeah.
for him to carry on doing it. And then I get the thoughts of when's it going to end, but
What's next?
what's next? Yeah, it's the right. Okay, you've tried the messaging. You haven't come because it says you can't message me indirectly or directly.
Yeah.
So then the last time we were speaking, wasn't he? You tried to message me
Yeah.
indirectly.
Yeah.
I always, when I sit in the evening sometimes, and I think, well, what's going to happen next? And you try and prepare yourself for what's going to happen next. It might be 6 months, it might be a year, it might never happen, but you prepare yourself for if I get the call to say that something bad's happened, or is he going to be at the door,
You're
or
always
is
on
he going to
edge,
turn
aren't
up at the
you?
school? Yeah, you're constantly on edge.
So how is that affecting you? So I know kind of from conversations that we've had, but day to day, mentally, what is that like? How does that affect you? I know like you don't necessarily like being at home alone
No,
because
no. In the
you know
Go on, yeah, go on. Sorry. In the
what
day,
could happen.
yeah, in the day, I'm totally fine because I know that it's fine in the day. Well, it's not fine in the day, but I have it in my head in the day. It's fine. In the evening, no.
Okay.
We're now 5 years, nearly 6 years down the line, and I still jump at things. So, like, next door can be drop something, or they're there because the walls are so thin. You hear everything, don't you?
Yeah.
Next door can do something, and I'll jump,
Yeah.
or I'll think I'll hear the door go,
Yeah.
and it won't be the door. And yeah, so in the evenings I don't really like it. I prefer when the kids are out. So if the kids are out when I'm in the house on my own,
Yeah.
I know that if he's going to come to the door, I'm here on my own, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Even though I've said to myself, no, he's not going to come to the door. Why would he come? But in your head,
Always
you're
that
always
little
thinking,
part
what's going to happen
thinking
next?
he's
Yeah,
already breached twice. He might be thinking, oh, what have I got to lose?
that's what we said,
Yeah.
didn't we? I keep saying to you, and everyone's like, they say that they don't deal with it as quick as they should. Not they, I think they don't deal with it as quick as they should deal with
I
it
don't either.
because of the distance.
Hmm.
So I said to them one day, I was a bit rude, but whatever. Because if you get to the point of like, oh my god.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I said to them one day, I was like, what's it going to take
Hmm.
for you to actually do something? Is he going to have to be at my door? And they said, well, the police say, well, if he's at the door, just ring us and we'll come out. But they don't understand the mental and
Yeah.
physical thing that's going to do is because I still have nightmares and I still have like like not panic attacks, but I still think I see him
Yeah.
everywhere. So him actually physically being at the door or being out somewhere, I don't know how I'd react to that.
No.
So when they keep saying to me, well, just wait till he's at the door,
We'll deal with it when it happens.
we'll deal
If
with
it
it when it
happens.
happens. But like you said, what's it going to one day, because he's got a few things. I think there must be a few things that he
Hmm.
struggles with. What's it going to take? One day he might just think, right, I'm going to go. What have I got to lose?
Yeah,
I'm
might as
going to
well
go.
go.
Yeah. So we have to deal with that if it happens.
We should say the time difference takes about 3.5 hours. That's how far away.
Yeah.
But the times that you have called locally to say that there's something has happened, they're like, oh, okay, well, we need to contact his local
Yeah. Yeah.
branch. And
The
then he
only time that
don't
the
hear anything for like 24 hours,
yeah,
if not more. So that's plenty of time for him to come up.
yeah. So you Um, not this time. The last time I had to report it, I went directly to him, to
Yeah.
his force. I was like, I'm not having this anymore. I'm just going to go directly to your force. But it's the mental worry of, right, okay, you've reported it. Then in my mind, because I'm very much like I like to know things straight away,
Hmm.
I'm like, right, okay, we've reported it. So he might be arrested tonight, or he might be arrested tomorrow. And then I'm constantly looking at my phone, thinking I'm going to get a message in a minute to tell me that he's been arrested.
Yeah.
And then I remember one evening they arrested at like 2:30 in the
Yeah.
morning, and they text me at 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning, saying we've just arrested blah 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 blah. I'm going on leave now, so won't be able to speak to you, but someone will be updating you in the morning. So I've got up in the night and I've read that, and then you're thinking, right, okay, how did he react to arrest?
Yeah.
How has he done this? What's happened? Because you're thinking, I always think, as soon as he gets out that station, because he's always let go, he'll be coming down. He'll be getting in the car and coming
Yeah.
down. And they don't, the victim support people are really lovely and they do help, but it's not, I don't think they don't understand. I think they've got so much workload and they're trying to do so many different things.
Hmm.
They're not there. The uniform aren't there to make sure you're all right and you're not in a
Yeah.
ball
They
on the
follow their
floor. But yeah,
procedures and their
yeah,
what they have to go through. But
yeah,
I'm assuming, from what I know from you, it's very kind of like tick box, right? Yeah, we've
yeah,
spoken to them about
yeah,
this. They've not actually gone, just checking in. How are you
yeah.
doing?
No, and it'll be very much, if they can charge, they'll
Mhm.
charge through like CPS. But if they can't charge, they'll just let them go, and they'll say, you haven't got any plans to go down to where she lives, or you haven't got any plans to message. And if you're sitting in a police station, of course you're going to say, no, I'm not going to do anything because you don't want to be back there.
Who? What
So yeah,
person would turn
it's
around
a
and be like,
tick
yeah,
box.
yeah? What person would be like, actually, yeah, I've messaged them. I know I shouldn't, but
Yeah.
what I'm thinking is, as soon as I leave here, I'm just going to get in the car and drive
I
there.
do drive, yeah, yeah, soon as,
No one's
yeah,
going to
so you're
admit that.
living constantly. No, no, they don't, yeah. And it has to go a long way. So like when I got my restraining order,
Hmm.
I had to do like it's called a victim personal statement. So you have to
Okay.
read it out in court
Right.
of how it's affected you.
Hmm.
And some days I feel like I just want to message him, even though I will never message him,
Hmm.
just to tell him what he's done and how I feel and what he's done to me. Because I know he probably won't care, but it's just to get it out to the
Yeah, yeah.
person that's doing it to you. Because you can say it to anyone, you can say it to friends or family, and they'll be able to support you. But actually telling it to the person that's done it to you
Mm.
in some sort of way, I think, right, he'll stop. But I don't, I think we've got another few breaches to come before he'll stop.
100%.
I don't know though. It could be nothing, but you never
Yeah,
know.
but the fact is that he's already had two breaches. So that
Yeah.
makes you think, well, he's not, he doesn't see it as a threat. He doesn't see it as a problem.
No,
It's just something
no.
to go around.
And I don't know if I don't understand because on the bottom of restraining orders, if
Mhm.
anyone's had a restraining order, hopefully they haven't because they're horrible. But if you have on the bottom, it has the date that the restraining order ends,
Right.
and they give that to the not yeah they give that to them.
Hmm.
So he's now, I don't know if he's still got it, but he's now got a little bit of paper that says on this day
Crack
this
on.
isn't in force anymore. So I then said to, I don't know, I think it was an officer, I then said, well, what happens then?
Yeah.
And they said, well, you have to reapply.
But how long does
You have,
that take?
but then how long? He goes, well, you've got this amount of years left. And I'm thinking, yes, I know I've got a few years left on it, but I'm thinking ahead as to when that time comes,
Yeah.
what are we going to deal with then? So it's always a
Not even
constant,
necessarily that, but when your child is an adult of
yeah,
age,
yeah,
is he then going to start
yeah.
to protect her now?
I can protect, yeah,
But
yeah.
when they're an adult, are you going to be able to protect them then? Can
They
they
said
get
that
their
that
own?
they said that they can add it on. You
Right.
can add it on. You can add the sort of child on and say no contact, blah 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 blah.
Hmm.
But I think it takes a lot of evidence and a lot of we haven't. But when I've spoken to solicitors, that or people or like advice, they've said you've still got so long on your restraining order. Wait until something else. If something else happens, and you've got the number of breaches
Yeah.
to show actually this needs to be extended,
Yeah.
then they'll extend it. But for now, it's just nothing till that date. So you're
So does
just
it
waiting.
affect you like physically as well? I know mentally, obviously it does, but does it affect you physically?
You just haven't. I just haven't got there. I don't know if it's because I suffer with fibro as well.
Hmm.
So I just some days I'm like, right, okay, let's not let when I've had to say like I've had a nightmare or I've been up in the night or I've been sometimes I think about it in the evening. Don't say anything to anyone, but just think about it in the evening.
Yeah.
Or then have a down day the next day
Hmm.
because it's just exhausting. You're
Hmm.
just constant, yeah, it's exhausting. And then other days I'll have where I'm like, right, no, this isn't gonna, he's not gonna win.
Yep.
Let's just carry on and not think about it. But there are times, especially around birthdays, so
Yeah.
especially around sort of birthdays and Christmases, I'm like, the whole day of, say, my daughter's
Hmm.
birthday, I will be, he's going to
Yeah.
breach. He's going to breach.
Yeah.
He's going to breach. Christmas, he's going to breach.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, so it doesn't ruin things, but it always in the back of my head,
Yeah.
I'm thinking,
Always there.
is he going to come down? When's the next breach?
Is today going
And
to be the day?
is today going to be the day? It's like when we're going through that, I think I told you before, when we're going through that whole process, like police
Hmm.
process, it's a lengthy process and then it's a court process. You're always thinking at the end, right, this is going to be the time where I actually get somewhere and he gets a custodial sentence. And then when you don't get that and he either gets away with it or you get something else, it's just like, right, okay,
You crash
here we go again.
massively as well.
For
You
them,
always crash
yeah.
massively, don't you, afterwards
Yes,
as
yeah.
well?
After, to say after the last one, I think was 6, 7 months.
Hmm.
So you try and put it to the back of your mind because you're just like, it's going to take forever. The police, they
No.
have to get evidence, and it's not high on the list because on their side, on their force, it's not high on the list because of the
Yeah.
distance. And they say that because he normally cooperates when he's arrested for other things. I'm not painting a very good picture here, but he's normally okay with it. They say,
Yeah.
well, he's not a direct threat. And we've had a word with him, and he said he's not going to do this, this, and this. But like you said, they don't understand the crash that you get.
No. And
You get the crash.
you crash hard because there are times you literally, like, I'll get the phone call from you saying, I've had the phone call, they're not going to do anything because of X, Y, and
Yeah.
Z. And then you kind of just go off grid for a couple of days and you're
And the
like, I
next
can't
day,
do,
I'm on the sofa.
yeah,
Yeah,
like,
not being able
I
to do
can't do
anything.
anything. I can't move. I can't do anything.
No, no,
What
because you're
is,
always like, you're always thinking, how many times, I personally always think, how many times is he going to make me go through
yeah,
this?
yeah.
But then it's not him making me go through it because I'm the one that's reporting it because I'm just like, right, no, we're not doing this.
No, you can't get away with it.
No, no. And they don't, people, with the whole domestic abuse thing is when they haven't got power and control,
Hmm.
they don't like it.
Hmm.
And of course, if you get if someone gets arrested and they've done something, they'll own up to it and say, "I'm sorry." They'll take the punishment and they'll be like, "Right, I'm not going to do that again."
Yeah,
Or the officer said when we right back at the
hmm,
start, I was messaging back.
yeah,
Of course, I was messaging back and saying, "I don't want to speak to you. I'll speak to you later." Blah 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 blah.
yeah,
And I tried to report something, and they said because you've been messaging back and you've been entertaining it,
yeah. They won't do anything.
you can't do anything. And like I've had days where I'm like, right, I'm just gonna speak to him and
Hmm.
try and get information out of him. But then they'll say, but then it's entrapment. We can see it as
Yeah,
entrapment because
yeah, yeah, yeah.
you've tried to
Yeah.
get the information. So it's so hard. But yeah, you just crash. And
What is
the
your advice for anyone that is going through it or thinks that they're at this process where they need to think, actually, yeah, I do need to leave, or,
um
what?
leave when it's safe to leave
Mhm.
because sometimes depending on what's happening it might not be safe to leave
Mhm.
because I've had instances where he said, right, if you leave or if you tell someone something, or there was an incident where I was up here and he said, right, if you don't speak to me I'm going to do so, I'm going to
Yeah.
not be here anymore.
Yeah.
So I rang their ambulance and their police, and
Mhm.
they dealt with it. But yeah, leave when it's safe to leave. Keep a log of absolutely everything. I know it's hard because you've got it on your phone. But
Mhm.
what I do is I think there's a recent or something hidden on the
Yeah.
photos.
Yeah.
I keep it all in there.
Okay.
Even if you don't think it's evidence, just keep absolutely everything because they'll ask for it.
Mhm.
And I've found talking therapies really help.
Mhm.
So, because they diagnosed me with
Yeah.
PTSD, so talking therapies really help. I would say time helps, but time only helps if they've stopped.
Mhm.
So if you haven't had any contact or they've sort of left you alone and you're no longer in the circle of going
Yeah.
round and round and round, time helps. And just be kind to yourself, even on the days where, like you said, when I
Mhm.
have days where I just crash. Sometimes it's hard to just keep going, but there's
Yeah.
no. For in what I think to myself is, well, there's no other
Mhm.
option. We
Mhm.
just have to keep going and going and going and going and going. There's no other option, because if say down the line it happens again and I don't report it,
Yeah.
what's the last 4 years been?
Mm.
Because it's not, yeah, so just time and yeah, be kind to yourself and realize that actually it could go, hopefully it doesn't go on for too long, but it's just a
Yeah.
cycle, round and round and round until they think I either find someone else or they get bored, or so
Yeah.
but it's always on their, I find personally it's always on their watch,
Yeah.
sort of. How many times are we going to go round this is
Yeah.
still up to them, because I've stopped all communication. Don't want to know.
But you're still going for it.
Send me solicitors things, and because another thing was, when you've got children, I know it's hard. I'm lucky enough that we're not in that sort of situation.
Mhm.
And he said once, he said, well, I want contact, but I'm not paying however much it is to
Mhm.
send forms up to you for you to sign
Mhm.
when you're not going to sign them.
Yeah.
That's what my situation was. So I could probably imagine it's hard with children and you've got to go through sort of a different route. But yeah,
Mhm.
it's
Is it was it Claire's Law?
yeah. Oh yeah,
Everybody-
yes, yeah.
does when you get a non-molestation or a restraining order,
Mhm.
does he automatically go on to
Yes.
not a
Yes.
not oh, what's the word? You know, if
It's
you go
like a
onto the list.
DBS. Is it like DBS?
You
Not
know, I'm
D-
just thinking about paedophiles when if
yes.
they're convicted, they go onto a sex
Offend-
offenders
yeah,
list.
yeah.
There's something similar for this. I imagine it would
Well,
be Claire's Law, but
I think yeah. So Claire, when I had my new
Mhm.
partner, or any new partners you have, if you've had domestic abuse issues in the past, you can go to the police, and I think you just have to give the name, full name,
Okay.
and address. And then if you don't hear anything, it's all good and it's fine. But I've on this other mums group, and the woman was putting it in before saying, I've heard from the police, I've done a Claire's Law request, what's this about?
Hmm.
And normally it's because they found something. So if they've had domestic issues previously, so if someone did a Claire's Law on him
Yeah.
now, it would come up that he's got a restraining order. Hopefully, I think it does. I should
Okay.
have, yeah.
I'm just wondering how many, because everyone gets into new relationships all the time, but
Yeah,
how many women
yeah.
would actually think, oh, I should do a Claire's Law, or I should look into this person? Because I probably wouldn't, but
No,
then
no,
it's not going to stop his cycle.
no. And when I was on, so we do the Freedom Program. We did it in the evening. We just finished it now, and we're going to go on to. They do the Freedom Program, which is really, really good, and they do something called Recovery Toolkit. So it's recovering and moving on from the
Hmm.
abuse. But with the Claire's Law, oh, I've totally lost my thought now. With Claire's Law, you can, yes, any new
Yeah.
partner, yeah, and you can do it with anyone.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've lost my train of thought. I don't know what I was saying
No,
now, but it'll come back to me.
I was just thinking because all of these, I wouldn't think to do it if I'm getting into
Oh
if I
no,
was
I've got
going
it
to be in
now.
a,
I've got it
okay.
now. So they sat on this what's it called? This course that we were doing,
Yeah,
sorry,
yeah.
they were saying that their first sort of like 2 or 3 weeks of a new relationship, if because
Hmm.
they've always been
Hmm.
abusive, they say that they've always been some sort of, they don't just become abusive,
No.
they've probably had relationships before that are abusive.
Yeah.
So they say like the first 2 or 3 weeks are like the grooming process. So they're
Okay.
telling you what they want to hear. They're doing this. They're saying, and there's an example of, I'll work so you can stay at home, and
Okay.
you can, and I'll pay for this. Blah 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 blah. And so the first 2 to 3 weeks of a relationship, if you've got red flags within that relationship,
Hmm.
that's it. You need to get out, or yeah. But
Okay.
it's sort of domestic, or sort of like abusers
Hmm.
have sort of a time frame of where they're going to be really, really nice, but then they might slip up. And then
Okay.
because the abuse doesn't start at the start, because they're trying
Yeah.
to, like you said,
Manipulative you
love
are.
bomb you
Manipulate.
to, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So if you get any red flags or you don't think anything's how it should be,
Hmm.
go with your gut. Because I wish I went with my gut
Yeah.
in the first sort of few months, because I just thought it was, oh, he's being really lovely and he's not like everybody else. And
I've
yeah,
never had anyone treat me this
yeah,
nicely before.
yeah. Yeah, so it's the first sort of like 2 3 weeks,
Okay.
and I think as you come out of it, like I will now know. So if someone's been, it's like one of my friends that I speak speaking to, her new partner's doing this, 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 and this,
Hmm.
and I will then say, that's a bit
Too
of a red
much.
flag, or why is he
Yeah.
acting like that, or have you thought about this?
Yeah.
Because you see it in a different perspective now, because you've had
You've been
I
through it.
hope, yeah, you've had
Yeah.
experience. So yeah, but no, they say that not all. It's not just you're not the first person, because he used to say to me, um, "Oh, well, my last girlfriend did this to me and hit me and did that to me, and she wasn't very nice." And I sort of thought, "Oh, well, she's not very nice, is she?" Being naive
Well,
and like,
yeah,
yeah,
especially about the ex, and
oh,
you're thinking, I'm better than her.
yeah, she's not very nice. And then I had a message when we split up, it'd been years down the line. I had a message from this woman,
Hmm.
and she said, "Oh, has he ever done this to you?
Hmm.
How do you deal with it? I don't know what to do." And I was like, "Oh my God." And I said to her, I just messaged her back because I didn't know if there was a connection,
Yeah.
because I've always got to be careful if there's a connection. And I just said to them, I was just like, just report everything.
Yeah.
Don't believe a word he says, and just report everything. And then I never heard anything. But yeah, yeah, they're very some of the things that they do, or the traits that they have, or how they behave is very similar. But
Yeah.
yeah, do your
Well, it's,
if you go with your gut, if it doesn't sound right, it's not.
yeah.
But yeah,
100%. Well, thank you so much for coming on and telling your story and giving
I've rambled
advice.
on for
And
45 minutes.
yeah, it goes really quickly, doesn't
I
it? You
know.
start talking and you're like, oh my gosh, what's
Oh
going on here?
I know. Well, thank you very
Well, thank you
much.
for, hopefully, like, I'll pop this up on my grid. It will be on YouTube as well. Hopefully it can resonate with one person, or if
Yeah,
someone knows of someone that's going through it, and we
yeah.
can help in
It
some
would,
way.
yeah. Just talking therapies, and just record everything. Like I said, even if you don't want it in your phone, because I found that when I had it on my
Hmm.
phone, I keep looking.
Yes.
On like his Facebook, I'll keep looking.
Yeah,
Don't
yeah, yeah.
look, and just report. Yeah, just report everything, and
Oh,
hopefully
lovely.
it'll help. It'll help.
Oh, well, thank you so
Thank
much. And now,
you very much.
sorry, you're gonna have to go back and deal with the kids.
I know. Hopefully they're asleep.
Mine are not,
It's
so
it's
I need
supposed to
to
be
do
not.
that.
It's supposed to be not very nice weather tomorrow, so I'm going to be tearing my hair out tomorrow. I'll be calling you tomorrow, going, "What do I
What
do?
do I do? What's
What do
going
I
on?
do with
No,
these bloody
I'm
kids?"
not looking forward to the rest of it. It was beautiful last week, but then this week is
Yeah,
just rain every
yeah.
day.
This week it's horrible. Well, I will let you go. Thank you very
No
much.
worries. Thank you. I will speak to you soon.
See you
Yeah.
soon.
Bye.